So first, let me thank you to SECPHO and Jordi and Krina for thinking of me to give here my experience and my views on what the Master in Photonics has meant to me, which is quite a lot. I wanted first to give just a bit overview of my career. I've been following the academic path, let's say the standard path for most of the people that traditionally were doing masters. So I did a bachelor in physics at the Autonomous University of Barcelona. Then I did this master in photonics. Then I did a PhD in physics, also in the Autonomous University of Barcelona. And then I've been doing different postdocs, one in Barcelona still. Then I moved to Bonn in Germany to a Max Planck Institute. And then since last year, I'm here in the University of Glasgow as a postdoc first, and then as an LCAS fellow. So I wanted to talk to you also to let you know why made me get enrolled into this master. So when I did the bachelor in physics in Barcelona, I did few courses related to optics. So I did optics, like general overview, optics laboratory, quantum optics, and applied optics. And I have to say that after the two first courses, I didn't really like optics and photonics in general. I found it more or less a bit boring because we were doing like the basics of optics. But then when I started learning how light interacts with matter in quantum optics, and then how can you use optics, like using applied optics for holography, for building devices based on diffraction and so on, I get more interested into it. But then after I finished the bachelor, I didn't still know what to do. I knew I wanted to study something else, doing a master's to get a bit more of let's say, skills. But my problem is that I've been always very dispersed, and I always like learning lots of things about fundamental science, learning things about applied physics and applied science. I also feel that I needed to do a bit more, again, some more skills in experiments and some more hands-on. And at the same time, as I know that succeeding in academia, it's almost impossible, so I wanted to keep my chances to go to industry open. And I was looking at on all the masters that I could find in Spain, in particular, because I wanted to stay in Spain if I could. And to be honest, the only one that I found that satisfied all these ticks was the master in photonics. So this master allowed me to keep my, let's say, my mind flexible and focus on different topics. And it also allowed me to choose the different subjects I wanted. And that's why I really was interested about this master. So for instance, in terms of applied physics, in the master, I did medical imaging, photonic materials, introduction to photonic, optical metamaterials. Then fundamental science, I did nonlinear optics, atom optics and BAC, ultrafast and ultra-intense laser light. So obviously all these names has changed. So almost 10 years has passed since I did the master. But the areas you've seen from what Krina and Jordi said, they are still there. And then we did a lot of experiments, so with this photonics laboratory. And something that was really, really interesting and useful for me was this seminars and skills with this subject that is not any longer available, but especially photonics in business, that I think now it's called something like patents or photonics and patents in photonics or something like that. I think that in the master there are still two subjects related to that. And I think that this was really, really interesting because it allows you to know not only science, but also to keep your mind focused into real applications and the possibility of developing something useful for the midterm in society. So after the master's, I decided to do a PhD. I did the PhD with Jordi Montpart on the Autonomous University of Barcelona. And my PhD was, again, a mixture of everything. So it was called Conical Refraction Fundamentals and Applications. I was studying a very traditional optical phenomenon, which is this conical refraction. But then I found applications in polarimetry and image processing, up to trapping of ultra-cold atoms and particles and optical communication. So it was quite a broad PhD, and I think that the masters did really well on preparing me for that. And something that was really interesting was that, well, during the PhD, I had the chance to do many research stays at different labs around the world. But the first one, which one at the Australian National University, was especially thanks to the master. So when I was doing the master, or the year after, I think I was still connected to the master somehow, and there was this professor, Wiesław Krolikowski, who came to the master as an invited professor, and he was giving a series of seminars. And I saw that his research and my research were very well connected. So I just got in touch with him during the master and then I went to work with him during some weeks, and I got one of my best papers so far. So all these connections that also the master offers you, I think that they are really important. And then I did some other research states in different institutions. In particular, so I did this the Australian National University, the University of Glasgow, and Technische Universiteit Darmstadt. I did this during the first two and a half years of my PhD. But then I spent a lot of time at the UPC working with Krina Kojokaro as well, and with Jose Trull on nonlinear optics. And I did this because I still thought that I wanted to get more hands-on on experiments, and being so close to the UPC compared to the UAB, and knowing them from the master give me all this chance and the opportunity to talk to them honestly and say, okay, I want to go to the lab, I want to help you and collaborate with you. And this is what I did. And as I was saying before, very importantly, the master also gave me the skills, for instance, to be prepared when a patent came into place and if there was any possibility to patent something. So during the PhD, we also had I believe two patents. And I also had obviously many seminars and conferences. That was something that the master also prepared me as well very much for it. So after that, I moved to a Max Planck Institute in Bonn, where I was involved in a very different topic. So I moved from, let's say, fundamental light-matrix interactions to study neuroscience in vivo using a toy model, which is the Drosophila fruit fly. And then I was also doing two-photon microscopy and machine learning, combined the idea of using diffractive optical elements that are powered by artificial intelligence to tailor how light propagates through complex materials and through tissues, and especially through multimode optical fibers. And this led me to my current place, which is here at the University of Glasgow, where I'm involved in machine learning for inverse problems in imaging and in physics. I'm also developing new approaches for computing based on photonics. I still work on all this topic about imaging through complex media. Complex media can be understood here from imaging through a shower curtain, through a broken glass, or through a multimode fiber, as you can see here, or a piece of tissue. And I'm also working on some new forms of LiDAR. And as you see, all these are topics that are currently covered in the master. So let's say cutting edge research, or the research that is being done in world leading institutions, it's been currently described by the masters. And I think that's also a very good thing. So I don't want to extend much. So I just wanted to summarize that to me, the master in photonics was very useful because it allowed me to keep on expanding my knowledge of applied or fundamental science. It also gave me lots of transversal skills, networking opportunities, and all these are bits that maybe sometimes we are not very aware of, but they are fundamental if someone wants to succeed in academia. And then, of course, you need to be lucky, you need to work hard. There are many other things that doesn't guarantee that you success on that. But the tools that this master provides you, I think that they are really, really fundamental in this sense. And that's it from my side.
Okay, thank you very much, Alex. I was remembering an anecdote that in 2012, I arrived to SECPHO in September. I started working at SECPHO. And in November, 2 months after, I was organizing, collaborating with SPIE, an optical design congress in Barcelona, with some booths of Spanish companies. And those days I was for 2 months working at SECPHO. There was just one student who came to the booth of SECPHO to ask about what are you doing here, what's SECPHO, and he was Alex. Then follow his example and his suggestion. It depends on you. Be curious, because after that moment, one student that came to the exhibition to discover new opportunities, new researchers, new companies, asking what are you doing, how can I learn something. Nowadays we are collaborating with him in SECPHO. He is a researcher and giving us value from his experience these years. And Your suggestion for the students, for the people, it depends on you. I think is the most interesting suggestion that you can give. Thank you, Alex.
I totally agree, and I remember that. I mean, I think that always approaching someone and asking questions is the key. You need to keep your mind curious, and obviously don't, if you are in academia or in industry, don't forget that there is another world different than yours, that they can offer you many things.